Town of Walpole, notice of intent and land disturbance permit, Conservation Commission, public hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The Town of Walpole Stormwater Management and Erosion Control Bylaw, notice hereby given intent of McNamara Holdings LLC to file a notice of intent and land disturbance permit for the demolition of an existing garage home, accessory buildings, construction of a new building for wholesale industrial use with parking, associated drainage, utilities located at 1446-1454 Main Street. Plans on file at Conservation Commission Office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, November 13th, 2019, beginning 7 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Time is now 7:02. What do we have here? So this is the, they've paid up their taxes? So that's the only other issue. This is what?
Right, it's a continued public hearing, so those are
This is-
the older plans.
These are the old, we got new plans here? Thank you. And representing the applicant?
My name is Charlie Shepherd from CDW Consultants. The applicant's Frank McNamara. He's supposed to be coming. Zach?
Is this a half scale that we have here?
That is reduced scale. Originals were 20, it's not quite.
So it's approximately...
Around 40.
Okay.
I was here last time. We showed you plans, demolition of these existing buildings, construction of a new building. We were into the no alteration zone. Some of the grading stuff, some of the corners of the building. We redesigned it. We took the building, we slid it 6.5 feet forward. We had angled parking here before, now we have parallel parking. We had 32 spaces before, now we're down to 24. 19 is required. Parking on sides is still on the order. We pulled back the pavement a little bit. So we slid this all forward, and then we notched this last, these are 65 foot deep, this one is 58. We still have the gravel half out back, which the fire department requested, so if they, they wanted to walk back there with a hose, they could go back with a hose. Again, the utilities stayed the same. Because we've brought everything forward, this is the red dot one here is your 25-foot no alteration, and you can see we've kept everything inside that, all the way around. So again, we had a slight reduction in pavement, reduction in parking from 32 to 24 spaces. Utilities the same. We still have the Peltex for infiltration in the front. We have eliminated that isolator row and put in water quality structures. One here and one here. They're storm scepter 450. That was one of the requests of both your board and the engineering. We did go out and locate wetland flag A18 was missing. We'd shown this straight across, that flag's back just a little bit, but that was located by our wetlands scientist a couple weeks ago, so we located that. I checked the area of the pond. There was a question about the size of the pond. The pond's about at least 65,000 square feet. That's 10,000.
Yeah.
It's about, depending on where the watermark is, it's anywhere from 65 to 85,000. That shows that. Again, utilities. We've got fire and domestic coming from the front. We slid them over a little bit because the engineering department and the fire department said we had to be 10 feet off the existing utility pole. So we slid them off to the right. We've got underground electric, we've got gas. As far as planting, similar to before, we had to move this tree over because the water line was here and we didn't want the root structure within 10 feet from the water line, so we slid that this way. Other than that, same amount of planting as before. In your letter?
And just, do you have the compost stock shown on the plan?
Yes. We changed the detail to a compost stock instead of, I think we had Wallace before.
And I think the commission had asked about the 21E report.
I have not got it from there yet, and he's not here, so I can't ask him until he gets it. I don't know if he got it or not. Yeah. If he had a copy.
There was one done on the property, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. Yeah, there was one done before he bought it. So we changed this, we're now, there's no touch in the 25 foot. We're right up, the closest, we have a wall over here. It's just inside. And again, we've got that gravel path, which the fire department had requested to get a hose out there.
Okay. Landis, anything more you want to add?
Because I've been out sick, I didn't get a chance to look at these plans, so I'm looking at them now, and it seems to have addressed all the items that the commission brought up last time. I would, the dumpster pad
Yep.
here, I would prefer if it was fenced in, if
Okay.
it's possible, just
Yep, I can do that.
because it stops stuff from blowing away.
Yeah, I assume you'd want, wood, something more decorative, just a chain.
Yeah, I don't really care about what it looks like, more that it just contains the,
Could do that, fence it in.
garbage paper or
Gate
anything that's.
on the front side, so you won't see it.
And then there was, sort of a variety of man-made material dumped out here in the back wooded area, so I'm assuming that's gonna be cleaned up.
Yes.
And we
Yeah, I
can
was
also
out
condition
yesterday.
that.
I was up yesterday, I saw a pile of asphalt.
Yeah, it looked like asphalt, and then
Yeah.
there looked like maybe some old concrete or something.
Yeah, and there's some
pipe.
older piles back there too.
Is what?
There's some older piles. that
Yeah, yeah.
that have grown over that will come out. There's this pile here, which will literally cut off here, break that
Mhm.
out.
Right.
And take that out.
And then a revised OEM to reflect the new stormwater.
I don't have it yet, I can get it to you.
We need that to address the
Yeah.
storm scepters.
Yeah, I can get that, I'll revise that, give you a revised, stormwater report showing that, the calc for the, 450Is.
You provide details of that storm scepter
Yes.
with
And then, there's notes, I didn't bring it tonight, the detail sheet, I have notes. I know you asked about the treatment of the subgrade below the infiltration area as far as preventing compaction, and there's insulation notes on it. How that's very important not to compact
Yeah.
subgrade below, because if you do, then the insulation
Right,
won't work as well.
right.
So there's insulation that's next to the Celtic detail, but I didn't bring it.
Anything else? Doug?
How wide is that gravel access path? 6 feet? And I like the fact that it's pervious surface.
Yeah, we didn't wanna,
was-
we didn't, and we asked, I had a round table meeting at the time, and I said, "Would you be paid?" And he said, no. They said,
The fire department didn't
Yeah.
require it to be paved?
didn't. But he
Interesting.
said, we just wanna be able to get a guy back.
Yeah,
You know, they
okay,
can get in right now on 3 sides.
yeah.
It is gonna be sprinkled. That's usually a requirement for, you know, you don't have a sprinkled building, a lot of fire pumps say that we have to do it all the way around.
Ah,
But he said as long as, you know,
If-
you provide a path,
okay.
that we could either drag a hose or at least someone could get up there.
But if you didn't have automatic sprinkler systems in the buildings, then they'd require a bigger
This one they might
road.
not, because we can still get in on 3 sides. A lot of times fire departments say, if we
Yeah.
can't get in on 3 sides,
Mhm.
and it's not sprinkled,
Yeah.
then we say, we have to go, we have to do it all the way around.
Okay.
Every fire department's different, but that was their requirement.
Okay, great. All right, no more questions.
Emilio?
I don't have anything right now.
Roger?
We spoke about the gasoline pumps that were there near the house, near the little building next to the house.
Oh, this little, probably this one, it's kinda like an office now.
Well, I think it was further back. I've seen a picture of it. There's a picture in the historical image book that shows the gas pumps, old-fashioned gas pumps. So with that, I mentioned that, do we know if those if those tanks are still there or not?
As far as I know, they're on the underground tanks. I can check with the fire department and see what, you know, they'll know. what-
They may not know either.
Yeah, well, if it was registered, they have to, yeah. If
This
it's
was
really
before,
old,
this
they
was
may not.
long before the registration.
Yeah,
This goes back a long time.
I mean, like any site, if they find an underground tank, they would take it out. They'd have to test underneath and make sure it hadn't spilled underneath. My company, we do that as well, so we actually come in and test the soils for.
Well, I just want to
Make sure
mention
there's no
it because
fuel
you people be out there, one thing you don't want to do is
Right, we don't want to.
dig around and find you got something,
Right.
because I don't think the tanks are very solid today.
I
But you
can- I'll
never know.
check. I can check with the fire department. If it's newer, they'd have records, so they may not have records.
Well,
It's that
they're
old.
very old,
Yeah, so they may not have records.
so, as I say, that was the big thing. The house is gone,
House is still there.
yeah, still
The
there.
house is coming down.
But it's going to be going down.
Everything's coming down. Yeah, the house, the garage, it's kind of like an office. This stuff here, all the fencing, the retaining wall, all that's coming up.
Do we know how old, when the house was built?
I would guess, 20s or 30s, I guess.
Huh?
20s or 30s, maybe. It's not new, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty old.
You may want to check on that, because we have a demolition delay bylaw in town.
Okay.
Just don't want to get you started and then find out you, because then you get a long delay.
Yep. Yeah, check on that.
Anything else, Roger?
Nope.
Okay, Betsy?
Yeah, one comment and one question. The comment is, thank you for really listening to everything that we suggested. I think you've done pretty much everything, so thank you. Makes it easier. The question is, so it's possible that the owner is not coming tonight with the 21E report results, and I'm just wondering, what does that mean? I mean, maybe there's nothing to it, and you know, we simply say, okay, go ahead, it's fine. But what do we do?
I mean, he would, you know, he had it done so that he could buy the property.
He
I mean,
did,
it's been
and I know
done.
they had a small area that was cleaned up behind the old building, where they.
I guess I'm wondering, can we close the hearing?
Yes,
Is that-
because it's
okay.
a completely separate.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
general
completely
law.
separate
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, it is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, but they have to meet with
oh, okay,
Mass contingency plan.
oh, okay, thanks.
The only other thing we hadn't done yet was, engineering department requested that they witness the test holes at the infiltration area, so we know where groundwater is, so we make sure there's the separation. And with all the holidays and weather and stuff, it hasn't been done. I talked to the assistant engineer, and he's pretty open, so we're hoping to get out in the next couple of weeks. Just to-
Anything else, Betsy?
No,
Al?
Okay, I have a concern. You're going to have possibly a whole bunch of tenants here. And is there any control over what they put in these units? You know, proximity to the water out back. And so I'm concerned about contractors that would have barrels of oil or other bad stuff stored inside one of these units, and it leaks and goes someplace it shouldn't. What kind of controls are this?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you, I'm not, not the owner, but, I mean, when we talked to the building department, they said, if you were to say, oh, we're gonna put a auto body shop in one, he said, no, you'd have to get special, so some of these uses you would have to get special
Okay, that's what I'm getting
permits
at,
for.
because,
His intent is landscape trucks, landscape, trailers and things like that. Not auto body, not.
well, landscape
repair.
companies have deadly poisons that they put on lawns and such, so that's what I'm getting at. I wasn't expecting a body shop, but a landscaper, some of them, they go out and they spray all over the place, deadly poison that if you're walking it can affect you. So that's what I'm concerned about. So I want to make sure that we're not opening the door for storage of a lot
I
of
mean, I
that stuff.
assume, and I know this isn't guaranteed or anything, but I assume that, when the building department has their conditions, what can be stored and what can't be stored legally inside the building. I know that doesn't force it.
Well, that's my concern.
I don't know how we can,
Well, there's
Enforce
nothing
that
on the
either, so that-
plan to show for
Yeah.
any landscape bins or anything like
Yeah,
that, so,
yeah,
I mean, we
that's
can
right.
specify a condition
Yeah,
that
no, it's all
all
intended to be
landscape
inside.
material be contained inside the
be
building.
Yeah.
contained inside the
You,
building.
you went through site plan review through the planning board as
We
well,
haven't
or
yet.
you haven't
We
yet?
came here first.
Okay,
We wanted to make sure the building was, before
right,
we
right.
go any further, because he's gonna have to get all his elevations and, architecturals on the steel building, so we thought we'd come here first.
You know,
So I
aside from,
think putting a condition
Yeah.
like that would,
aside from that, I think this is an improvement over what's been going on there for the last 25 years. So I'm not concerned about tearing down dilapidated structures and removing problems.
Is there anything that the individual people who wind up with one of these bays or buildings, they're gonna be separate buildings, I take it, right, separate
Yes.
wall,
Yeah.
so they're like
Each
individual
separate- each
buildings.
separate
Yeah,
unit.
yeah.
Is there anything in there that, in the permitting, that whoever winds up there, that there's any control over what they put in there?
I would assume the building inspector, when they get a building permit, that I would assume he can list the things that you
I
can.
mean, does the owner of the building have to indicate to the building inspector who is gonna be leasing these individual units?
I would
I don't know.
assume, yes,
Is there
but I
any,
don't- I can't say for sure.
I don't know how you control what goes in
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Once somebody leases it, how do you control what goes
That- that's-
inside the
That-
door?
that- That's
Right.
why I have the concern.
And I don't know what we can,
Yeah.
other than
Right,
We
well,
could
there'll
put
be no
that
drains inside the building or
Yeah.
anything like
That-
that, so I think you condition on anything
That
outside the building.
anything, everything has to be contained within the unit and not stored outside.
That's what I was
Yeah.
suggesting.
I think that probably is all we can do.
Yeah,
So you got that note,
Yes.
okay. I think that was, okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? There's nobody here for that, okay. Someone make a motion to close the hearing?
so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600. And we
So
still
that-
want a copy of the 21A, just so we have a reference to that.
And the revised O&M.
Revised on in
Yeah.
450X.
Is there anything
You wanna
else?
put that in the order, or you want me to just?
If you would give us no, we need a copy of the revised O&M before we issue the order. We'd
Okay.
like to attach it to the order. So what we would just hold it until we get the revised full-size plans and the revised O&M. And we need to write the order first. We just closed the hearing.
Yeah, close the hearing, so the order, you've got,
Right, so I have the condition to clean up the man-made material.
Yep.
Within the buffer zone. A fence around the dumpster. And all landscape materials shall be contained inside the building.
or do we just say no outside storage
No
of material,
outside storage.
no matter what it is?
Okay.
Then,
Yeah,
We'll
that
take
makes
care of
sense.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that takes care of that.
Took care of these other things. Okay, so someone make that a motion for the order?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600. Thank you. Thank you.
So just get those to us as soon as possible, and then we'll
Yeah.
process them. Amy will not be in tomorrow, so she probably won't work on it until Friday or Monday anyways.
Thank you.
We got, do we hear anything from Old Town Road?
No, well, yes and no. Let's read it in.
Are they still trying to do anything?
You wanna read wanna open it?
see. Notice of Dent Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of George Almacari to construct a three-car garage over existing driveway at 23 Old Town Road, Walpole. Plans on file at Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in room 112, Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, October 9th, 2019, beginning 7:15 PM. All interested persons requested to be present. Has been open and continued. What do we have from the applicant?
So we have nothing from the applicant. I emailed the engineer, Mr. Wilson, who presented the project, and he was under the impression that the applicant had hired a different engineer and was working on a plan, but I have not heard from Mr. Alfari regarding the continuance.
what would you suggest we do, other than continue it to the next meeting or beyond?
Well, the options the
just-
commission could take is to close it and issue a decision based on lack of information, or you can continue it to the next meeting you'd like to continue it to. And again, I'll try and reach out to them.
Okay, I would suggest, if we haven't heard anything, haven't gotten any, supposedly another engineer working, that it's beyond one meeting. What,
You continue it to sometime in February.
do you want to do the first meeting in February or the
Make
second?
make it the second one.
Okay, so that would be February 26th? Okay, so we'll continue this until February 26th at 7 PM. Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
600. 26, 7. Okay. I think if you're in contact with them, if we don't have something or we don't get some kind of indication of what's going on, then that we would just close it out. Make that note for the February 26th meeting. Okay. Good. What do we got here? Town of Walpole Conservation Commission, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, of course, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act. Town of Walpole Wetlands Bylaw notice hereby given Hay Oaks LLC. The filing of an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to review the wetland resource area located off Delaney and Dover Drive, maps 11 and 12, parcels 49 and 84. Plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, December 11, 2019, beginning 7:15 PM. All interested persons requested to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. When did we do this? December 11th. This is from Planning Board. I don't know if we had this in or not. I guess we did. We got it December 11th, so I guess we did. Nothing new here. The applicant?
Rob Truax, the owner engineering consultant. So I guess you got out to the site with
Ecotech.
And I have not had a chance to go and locate those flags that you guys changed, so I guess oh my God, I'm on vacation for the holiday. But, yeah, nice, huh? So, but just so everybody knows, my understanding is he sent me an email, he said down in this area behind the house, or I guess this area.
Why don't you bring it up closer?
Oh, sure. So if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but down, these are where the houses are on Delaney, and that's where that culvert is down here, it goes under the road. But I believe it was right here, you went somewhere over in here,
Yeah,
changed some flags there, is that the
we
only?
did. We changed, we connected this area here, and then it kind of bowed out somewhere around here.
So all this got encompassed?
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
it, okay.
yeah, that, all that got encompassed. That was the main change. So.
Yeah, that really had to do with an impact on
Mhm.
buffer zones and things like that.
Right, so
So,
we would need revised plans
Yep.
on that, and other than that, I just made some noted areas where it was a great day to do delineation, because there was There was a
Water
lot of
everywhere.
water out there.
Things are high right now.
Yeah, so just for future, bring,
Yeah.
for future, like this area here where there was a fair amount of dumped material, and there
Yes.
was a lot of water here.
Isn't that a landscape guy?
I don't know. There's a stone wall, and there was water coming sort of from the stone wall down in here, but it was only a definable channel here to the stone wall. It didn't connect to this well, and so I couldn't include it as an intermittent stream. But I made notes of all this so that when the development comes through, we know those areas do need to be handled one way or the other one, because there was a fair amount of water. There was water here too. So, and then.
So there'll be nothing
this is
actually
shown.
happening up there. But I do know that this is paved to here, and I believe, you know, people park their vehicles here, and this looks like it became a leaf dump for the neighborhood.
Right, yeah, quite a large leaf dump. Oh, and then in this area, there was a fair amount of standing water here too, and I think the preliminary plan showed maybe coming off of Sunny Rock, so
Yeah,
I
we'll
don't know.
probably
There was a
end
lot
up
of
with-
water
We'll probably not
in
do
that area there.
We're gonna
so
try and revise that.
Okay, yeah.
Change that
Okay,
around,
it's
that's just
just
speaking
that.
with you.
Didn't look like a good area to chop off.
Well, the planning board wasn't, this is already exceeding the dead end limit,
Right.
so they're not gonna
They didn't
grant.
want to extend it.
They were pretty negative about granting a waiver to go further, so.
You weren't gonna loop that around to Delaney.
I don't want
And
them.
you
That's a
can
lot
do
of
what,
roads
a
to go
series
for a
of-
couple lots.
Cul-de-sacs like here or
I mean,
there.
we had the, you guys don't have the prelim, but the road came in like this with a cul-de-sac here, another cul-de-sac over there. Then this would have only gained 2 lots here with a cul-de-sac. I mean, I'd be more apt to maybe do a little bubble here and pick up 1 lot or something. Or maybe, I was actually thinking maybe I'd get a paper street and just get frontage for a lot and just do 1 lot there. Just do a driveway in, and not fill any lot, and cut around it, but I don't know how that'll work out. I really don't think that they're gonna give me the waiver, number one, and so it's probably a moot point to go in there and say we're gonna fill that for a road crossing. I don't anticipate doing this, because I'll only pick up 2 lots, and that's probably 600 feet of road. And at today's going rate, that's probably $500,000, $600,000 worth of road. So it kind of becomes a wash, not worth it.
And you wouldn't just loop the water line without a road.
They're probably gonna push me to do that.
Uh,
They're gonna ask me to probably do this,
Yeah,
you know, that might happen. I wouldn't have to go through the wetland to do that, though.
no, I mean, all you need is big enough to
There's
make a
already
connection.
sewer.
I was gonna say there's a sewer
The
easement.
sewer comes
Isn't there a sewer easement through here?
down here,
Somewhere?
and then it goes like that. So the sewer goes through the wetland
Yeah.
right now. So it's already a crossing there. So they brought the sewer from Delaney,
I
Heritage
saw the
Drive,
manhole.
and down in here, and then over to Sunny Rock. That's not, I have it on the, you guys never got a preliminary, did you? Did you get one from Kate?
I looked at it.
You did look at it. And the sewer was on that one.
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't notice that, but
Yeah.
I saw it in the field. I saw the manhole.
Yeah, so you'll see it on the preliminary if you look. I think the sewer over here too that I didn't know about, that the engineer told me, the sewer coming through here somewhere, that I didn't have plans of.
From the Dover stuff or something?
Yeah, it comes up like, I guess it goes along this property line and up to a house over here. I don't have plans, I have to get it from Carl.
Okay. So when would you be out there
Probably
surveying?
in the next week or 2. So you wanna continue this and just wait till you get the plan, you wanna close it and I just get you the plan? How you wanna handle it's fine.
I think we ought to see it first, don't
Yeah, I'd
you?
rather wait.
Okay,
I'd
that's
have
fine.
you survey it and bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah, you wanna just continue this to the next meeting, we'll try and get it for that. I'll get them all for next week.
Anyone in the audience have any questions
Well,
or
wait, you didn't
comments?
go around the board yet.
Oh. Oh,
Jeez.
are you
Well,
in the
I have a
audience?
question, actually.
lots
Believe
of
it or not,
questions.
I have a question.
Doug,
I have no questions.
Emilio, Roger,
Not now.
No,
Betsy.
it's just sort of, it's just a thing I've never heard of before. You can get frontage off a paper road? I didn't know that.
They can waive all the construction.
Oh, it's like a special waiving thing?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not like a typical thing, like, oh, I'm gonna make a paper road,
No,
oh,
they
I'm
don't-
gonna get
no,
frontage.
There's nothing in the regulations that say
Okay.
paper road.
Okay, okay,
A paper road would be something where you would show the layout,
Yeah.
but you would never actually build the
Right.
road within the layout.
yeah, I've seen them before here and there on plans, I didn't know that they were
And they call them
significant.
paper streets because
Yeah.
they're just on paper, they're not
Yeah.
really in the
Right,
field.
right, okay, thanks.
Okay, my only question is, what's the gist of the neighborhood? What are they thinking about?
They like the cul-de-sac idea. They didn't wanna see us connecting out to High Street. There's a couple people came to the preliminary.
Are we gonna have 100 people come protesting?
I don't know.
We've gotten a fair amount of inquiries as to what,
Okay,
I
This
got
is
some
all
phone
about.
calls, and I sent some emails out with the plan of the preliminary, I didn't just send
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
I sent them the
Okay,
preliminary, so they could see
yeah.
what was going on. And I had people come to the preliminary hearing, there was probably a dozen people there. So,
okay.
there were some neighbors on Heritage that asked about potentially getting some land on the back of their lots to extend them out, 20 or 40 feet or whatever,
Yeah,
on that back side over here.
Yeah.
I got inquiries from about 2 or 3 people
isn't
on
a
that.
few of them already,
Uh-huh.
haven't a few of them already encroached on?
Well, that's what they said.
That's
I'm already
what
dumping my
I-
leaves out.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
They're already there.
They're kind of, and I did talk to the owners, and they would, I would probably sketch something up, and they'd be inclined to talk to all those people about it, so. I mean, that gets pretty, the cul-de-sac doesn't come all the way back here, these two lots are very big in the back, with a lot of depth to them, so we could do something with that.
okay.
Anybody in
Nothing
the
else.
audience have any questions or comments?
I
Please-
live on Sunny Rock.
Please,
PA.
identify yourself for the record, please.
Rich Carlo, I live on Sunny Rock Drive, and I missed the preliminary meeting, so I just wanted to listen to see what's going on, because I know how wet the end of Sunny Rock is. So when I heard that they might extend the cul-de-sac, I was just kinda curious, just to listen in to see what was going on. No
Yeah.
real actual questions, I mean, just curiosity, I guess.
I don't have the preliminary plan with me,
Okay,
but
is
we
there,
did show, just, you don't mind, I'll just go quickly. I did show a cul-de-sac being extended off Sunny Rock. The planning board was very negative about that because it needs a waiver.
right, it's 750 feet, right, or something?
And speaking with the owners, it doesn't seem cost-effective to loop Sunny Rock up to the subdivision road that we're gonna do up above. It's a lot of road for 1 or 2 lots.
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense
okay.
from a, economical standpoint, so
That's
most likely, if anything came off Sunny Rock, it would be a driveway and a water line.
I could see that. I could see a driveway off the end. It's really wet at the end there. I just didn't know.
Did you get a notice of this
Of this meeting?
here?
No, one of my neighbors forwarded me this memo. That's why I came.
Okay,
You got notice of the other hearing. You would have been re-noticed.
so you have, have you gotten any notice on
For
this?
this meeting tonight, no, a neighbor sent me a link to this, but I don't.
Because whenever it comes up for a filing on the subdivision,
You'll get noticed.
you would get a notice if you got one for this. But if you didn't get one for this,
Where are you on Sunny Rock?
At the end, 33. I bought this.
Oh, the last one on the left?
Last one on the right.
Oh, on the right, the other side. Yeah, you should have got a notice.
Yeah.
You're on the abutters list.
All right.
For the first hearing, but this is
Yeah.
the continued hearing.
That would have been back in December, the first hearing.
Yeah, I was out of town. I couldn't make it.
There you go.
okay, so you would get a notice whenever
You
a
get notice
filing is
again.
done.
Oh, okay, just once?
Just one.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll continue this until January 22nd, so we'll make that a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Got a time?
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. So, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, 600. So 8 o'clock.
22nd at 8.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
So that puts you in charge.
Let's do it.
Hey, Rob? Rob?
Yeah.
Are you doing anything on the,
Boyden?
yeah,
I thought he continued. Did he ask for continuance?
Yes.
oh, okay.
Oh, is it continued?
Yes, for a continuance?
Well,
Dennis, you're out of the loop?
When did you do that?
yeah.
Remember he came in and said he was gonna email me something that he would like to do on Friday? That's what, that was it.
Did he email you something?
Can you
He
email?
did, yeah, it's in the file.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna continue, because you haven't been able to get out there. He wants me to go out and put the, I saw your notes, so we haven't been able to.
Yes, I thought it would be helpful to have both the flags and the, buffer zone
I
area.
figured if I delayed long enough, we'd be in March.
Good idea.
That's not a bad idea.
We'll slow it down a little. All right, thank you, good night.
You want
See you,
to
Rob.
talk about a site visit or something? Or should we?
I would,
I had no idea he had continued.
oh, you were out, right?
We'll just email
Okay.
him. If he emails you, I should just forward
What's
the email
this?
to.
What are we holding this? Well, let me read this thing. Town of Walpole notice of 10 Conservation Commission public hearing, of course, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act. Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, whatever that is. Notice hereby given of the intent of Wall Street Development for the construction of a single-family house, 11 Boyden Lane, Lot 6, Walpole. Plans on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, Room 112, December 11th, 2019, beginning 7:30 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. This is from January 6th. Please accept this email as request to continue the Concom hearing for Lot 6 Boyden till the next meeting on January 22nd. This is since our last meeting. There was a Board of Health. At its Board of Health's December 17th meeting, voted unanimously that they strongly oppose new construction within the wetlands. Okay, that's, all right. We've got a check here for what?
We were holding
Just-
that until the meeting opened.
What's this? Got two checks here. What are they, what's it for?
It's for the filing.
It's for this filing.
Yes.
Okay, why are we holding that?
Why are we holding them? You know, why we're holding, because I think because he was requesting not to pay a second time because this is the second notice of intent on this particular lot.
That is correct.
That's intent.
I don't see why the commission would give him a waiver on the filing fee, but. It's up to you guys to.
This is, you already had a filing on Lot 6, right?
Yes,
And we have an order of conditions.
yes,
This is a new filing because he's changing
The grades.
the grade, the layout and working in the buffer zone.
Correct.
Within the buffer zone, but also within our no disturb line. That's what
Correct.
this filing is for, right?
yes.
Okay.
So this is an amendment?
No, he's got a new
Is this a
filing.
new
No,
filing?
it's a new filing.
It's a new
Okay.
filing, so I don't see why we would not, if the new filing would require the fees for the filing. So I would suggest that we cash the checks as a, to go along with the. as a
Now, has he
notice of
filed
intent.
under both the state and the town? Or just under the town?
No, he filed under both.
You got two checks here.
So one is under the state law
Well,
and the other is
I
under
don't
the
know
town
what,
law.
it doesn't say, it just says notice of intent. Is there something else in there?
Yeah, they would be under both. 260, 250 is under there's the town's share of the wetlands filing fee, and the
Yeah.
150 is the, bylaw fee.
Okay. Anyone have any problem with?
No, since it's
Was
a
it
new
new filing?
entirely new filing,
Yeah.
DEP will issue a new file number, and.
Which they have,
Yeah,
right. Yep.
so then
Since
it's,
you requested, it's easier, just in case you guys did that, it's hard to
Yeah.
deposit checks and then pull them back, so.
well, we couldn't waive the state fee,
Right.
because DEP's already involved. The only thing we could waive, if we so chose, would be the town fee.
Okay,
So we have no choice but to cash in
I think we should
the
deposit the
state
fee.
check. So if we're doing one, we might as well do both.
Okay, so, do we need, other than just going ahead and doing that, do we need a vote on that? I mean, normally it would
Yeah,
just be done, right?
You know, just to make sure that he doesn't come back and sue us for something regards to that, we'll vote on it.
No
Sure.
one make that a
I'll
motion?
make that a motion.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 600. Okay. So we'll deposit the checks. Now we got to, he's requesting, Is this-
I just wanted to look at his notice, so
oh,
I just grabbed
okay.
it from the file.
oh, okay.
I wanted to see if
Nothing
he
to
had
be-
formally asked for, a word to the fees, but I couldn't find it. I should really have done that.
Okay, he's asking to be on the agenda for the 22nd. Is that okay? You've got to get a site visit.
Right, so
Uh,
I've requested that both flags of the wetlands area be put up and the, no alteration areas, the 25 and the one he wants to decrease, and that the corners of the house be put in place. So I would recommend that once that's done, that, commission either on their own time, one by one, go by and take a look, or that you have a site visit, so
I think a site visit
if
is
you're
good.
considering.
Yeah, I would suggest a
Viewings.
site visit
Or-
after
or-
this is
Or I
done.
would come with you. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be a site visit,
Mhm.
but, I mean, I understand now, Al is not gonna be able to walk very well,
Right.
and so,
Right. And I don't know, I mean, timing wise, it being February and the, the ground supposedly usually being frozen, and it's not really the best time to be re-reviewing wetlands lines.
no, I agree.
You know, so better if it was later.
Well, I agree.
I guess if it is not, does not work out, that you can adequately review the wetland line, that then you're gonna have to wait until you're satisfied that it's suitable to do that review.
In
Am I
this,
right?
in this case, where everything's sort of been disturbed,
Very much so has been disturbed.
yeah, finding where the wetland line is not easy. And when it's frozen solid, wet areas don't go mush when you walk on them. So I would suggest that we put that off until the ground thaws and we can see what it looks like. You know, I know that it's disturbed. and therefore you can't go by just the vegetation, so you're pretty much restricted to what the ground looks like and what it feels like when you walk on it, and you take a sample and look at it. But it looks different when it's frozen solid, and you can't dig a test hole with your auger, so I think we're forced into delaying this a little bit, as Rob said, to March.
Right, well, I think I mean, that's the issue of when the first one expires anyways, came
Yeah.
up, so
Mhm.
Right, the existing order is good until sometime in March.
What time in
It's
March?
March 21st.
And our meeting after that is March 25th. I believe he's filed because he would like to get, I think it's a house under construction, but if he can't do this and we want a site visit, I don't know if it's gonna speed things up. Plus, if he's filed, as he has filed here, based on the comments we've had before, there's some issues with this particular filing. So what do we want to do?
Okay, it feels like we've got like three different things going here. One of them is a very practical one. It's January, then it will be February, then it will be March. I think we should go around just to discuss the January, February, March thing, right? The practicality of Landis going out and trying to go in with an auger and trying to determine wetland vegetation or whatever. Just the practicality of it. January, February, how about March? So thoughts, and then I think we could make a decision that's a rational one or not.
I'm not sure if this would play into it, but this weekend, there's 2 days of 60-degree weather forecast. I don't know if that's enough to thaw any frosted ground or not, but
Well, he hasn't marked anything yet,
He
right?
has to mark stuff
Oh.
with his.
I didn't even know he continued the hearing, so he hadn't contacted
well,
me.
I don't
then
think
we're gonna
it's
be
been
back
bad.
into the heart of winter,
We're not
guaranteed.
not gonna be able to do anything this weekend because it hasn't been reviewed or marked.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
still gonna
so-
reply, it's not so much that we, the commissioners, I don't think it's our job to try to facilitate this kind of unorthodox idea. I think right now we're just talking about the practicality of doing something like this in January and February.
Gotta wait till spring.
Well, let's look at Doug's question. If it thaws on the weekend, the surface, that's gonna put everything in a false sense, because that doesn't give the water that's tied up in that 2 inches that thaws a chance to go away and drain into the subsoil. So it's not gonna give us or anybody a valid conclusion. So just because it thaws for a couple of days, that makes more water at the surface, more mud. So I don't think that just because it warms up for a couple of days is the answer.
Now, Landis, on the previous project in Delaney, didn't you just check a wetlands line?
Did I just check wetland sign? Yes, I did.
But you can do that easily when the vegetation hasn't been destroyed.
And that's the case there,
Yeah.
sure, okay.
See, here, everything has
That's
been
different.
destroyed, so
I see.
we're based on what the soil looks like and feels like
Okay.
and
It would
tests
definitely
like.
be a soils
I understand.
review because
Okay.
of, it's been altered.
Understood.
There's,
All right.
it's such a small wetlands to begin with, and they're challenging their own wetlands line before,
Right.
so
So you're right, it makes sense to me to wait until things,
Okay, what we have to be aware of, that we need to justify our decision And if that is that we won't be able to determine an accurate wetland line prior to how we
Spring
word it,
thaw.
A
Spring
thaw,
thaw.
yeah.
Well, not a thaw isn't good enough, is we just, you can have
Yeah.
a
A sustained
you know,
period
you need-
of thaw.
till
Right, it could-
till spring conditions, is that?
Yeah, spring
Would
conditions.
that cover?
normal spring conditions for doing soil testing, since the area's been so disturbed, you can't look at vegetation.
Okay, so our
right,
decision to,
Candace.
to continue this is based on the inability to accurately determine wetland delineation due to the necessity to use soil conditions as the criteria,
Yeah,
which then puts us into a spring condition before we can do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yeah.
This is not a normal applicant,
Yeah,
so
and it's
we've
not-
got to justify what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do that, or you could just, again, keep on continuing it. I'm just not sure how, if it's just continuing January 22nd, that between then and now, or have enough time to go out there and review. But maybe we will. I don't know. The safe one would, I guess, be to continue it to January 22nd, but then
Okay,
we'd have
Sure.
to, again, justify that there wasn't an ability to review the soils appropriately because of the weather conditions.
okay, so how about both of those? I mean, if it turns out to be a balmy spring with, you know, in February or January, you can go out and check it, but,
All
so.
right, so I think what we need to do is that pending, we reschedule, we'll continue the hearing till January 22nd. Any site review of the wetland lines will depend on weather conditions allowing adequate investigation of the soil.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah.
will that cover that?
Sure.
Okay.
Weather and soil conditions, because that includes the frozen soil.
So,
So it's not just like
Okay.
it's a cool day, it's,
So we need to not just tell them the date, we'll continue it to January 22nd, but any review will be determined by weather and the ability to adequately do the soil test. So you can put that in the letter.
Okay.
So if we schedule this, what have we got for the 22nd?
8:15.
yeah, 8:15.
Okay, someone make that a motion, continue to,
so moved.
Second.
on January 22nd at 8:15. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 600. Okay.
One reason why I was double thinking on that, I know some, because I know, I think you have to be careful with having everything written down so that applicants know ahead of time, but I do believe that some commissions actually have it in their regulations or a policy regarding wetlands delineation and review in certain months of the year, specifically the winter, or snow cover or something like that. So it's something we may want to consider at some point.
Yeah.
Not
Would that be something that we
regulation.
consider under bylaw regs? I mean, I see bylaw regs is coming up. Is that something we would consider there?
Yeah.
Can we add that
Yeah, we
then?
can't add things to the wetlands protection regulations, but we can add things to our bylaw regulations.
That's what I mean. So here's the bylaw regs coming up. So should that be, that topic
Considered.
that you just mentioned be
Discuss it.
considered?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, we get to that point. Okay, so we've got this, do we vote on that? We did. right?
So what time was that?
8:15, January 22nd. Okay. All right, so what do we got next? We have Summer Street.
Okay, Summer Street. Okay.
Bless you.
Thank
Mount Walpole Conservation Commission abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Mount Walpole Wetlands Bylaw, a notice hereby given by subscribed DHLLC, following the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to review the wetland resource area located at 55 Summer Street, map 52, lot 78, Walpole. Plans will file the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing in the above matter will be held at Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, December 11th, 2019, beginning 7:45 PM. All interested person request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continues. What do we got here? The Board of Health,
Hearing, so you're just gonna share.
Okay.
Board of Health is December 17th meeting, voted unanimously. They have no specific concerns at this time. That's it. Representing the applicant?
Brian Butler, Associates. I do have a tripod, but I thought it'd probably take me longer to set it up than I hope to be before you tonight. We reviewed this on the December 11th meeting. The NRAD for the entire Baker Hughes property shown here against the railroad track. These, actually not three lots, but there are three sheets. At that time, prior to that, Landis was gracious enough to review the site in time for that hearing, which we're appreciative of. And we made 2 amendments to the wetland line that we discussed last time, and are reflected in this plan set this is the same plan set that we provided last time. It had the titling changed, the wetland borders updated, and I think that was about it in terms of amendments to the plan set. At that time, Landis had mentioned during the hearing, and she had emailed me prior, that with regard to wetland C, she had some concern, kind of lingering concern after a site walk. And north is up this way, actually. That's what you need for your orientation. Just out here, there's a couple of motorcycle trail north of wetland. C3. And we did review that area. My recollection then was that we didn't have any bank, both from the original delineation and from the walk with Landis, but since we didn't really, I didn't want to make too much of a fuss about it. Then Landis again was kind enough to come out and review that on the 23rd of December with me. And at that time, we'd had a dusting of snow, as well as there was an 1.25-inch rainstorm, I think the week prior. So all the surface flow was pretty well documented by kind of meltwater trails. And at that time, we found, as pretty much as I recollected, there's an old cart path that goes thusly across here. There's wetland C, there's a man-made channel here, and then there's a crossroad with wheel ruts that are 2, 3, 4 inches deep. And at 2 points along the bank of that road, the water weeps out kind of in between these 2 flags, 34 and 35, and 35 and 36, I think it is. But we examined that and didn't find there was any physical bank or any clear hydraulic connection to these kind of motorcycle trails and paths down a gradient. And I sent her just a memo the other day just to for a mnemonic item for both of us. And she may or may not have shared that with you. These are just the 2 areas that we talked about. Essentially, it's 2 areas where there's kind of a level spreader. When you get a surcharge of rain coming through wetland C, it does kind of weep over the edge, but there's no physical bank. Landis and I seemed in agreement at the end of that walk specifically for that task on December 23rd, as I said. And I just sent this the other day. I think you were out sick, so I don't know if you've gotten to read it thoroughly, but this is just a recap of what we discussed in the field. So I think with that, and I did actually speak to the project engineer, Katie Enright, from Howard Stein Hudson, who is and will be doing any design for the site. We will be considering the totality of this sub-catchment area in any stormwater management here, so that there won't be, even though there is channels here that the family charge but aren't confluent here, it's not gonna be an unmanaged situation in terms of stormwater management and, direction of water to the appropriate receiving resource area. And she, I think, sent me a forward email to Landis to ask her to, I'm not the engineer, but I've been telling Landis I didn't wanna go off without any backing from some of the I think so. I'm hoping this will be, like I said, briefer than it would take me to set up my tripod. We found that there wasn't an actual physical bank here, and so the delineation that we resolved prior to the 11th, probably the 10th or the 9th of December, in the field where we made the two changes, I think would stand for the record, so that this would be the plan for the NRAD, unamended. I just put these little notations on my copy.
What is that? Plan dated? What's the date for that?
This is C3 with the 12/10/2019.
And I believe that you would brought 2 copies to the hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was only 2 copies
Yeah.
of the revised plan, 12/10/2019. Okay, so just my understanding is, and you can bring that a little bit closer.
Sure.
So what I was observing was flow, kind of, I don't know, somewhere in this area, but the crucial part was that there was no discernible bank coming directly from the wetlands. So it looked like the water was kind of seeping below the surface, then flowing into this channel that was
Yeah.
created by a bike or something, and then again going from there and going below the surface. So in order for it to be intermittent stream, it had to actually start from the wetlands and go to a wetland. So because it didn't meet the criteria, it wouldn't have been pulled in as a resource area. But it has been noted, same as the Delaney Dover, as something that should be taken in consideration with the hydrology.
And as Katie pointed out in an email to me, I don't know if it was the same one I forwarded to you, that, we have, this is all very regulated, this is all regulated. And you're also gonna review in totality, any stormwater management plan, for the entire site, regardless of upland or wetland, is gonna be reviewed by your planning board as well as this board, so.
Well, not by the
not
planning
much up.
board, by the ZBA.
ZBA, sorry, yeah.
And us, unless it's something changed.
Yeah, ZBA, right.
So one of those things with the Wetlands Protection Act is there may be hydrology going on, but if it doesn't meet certain definitions and criteria, it's not a resource area. There may be a hydraulic connection underground. We can't pull underground streams in.
Okay.
Okay. You want anything else there?
No, so the plan that was dated 12/10/2019 would be the plan that would be referenced in the format.
Okay. Doug?
No questions?
Emilio?
So,
Roger?
Not right now. But I go back and I think about that property up there. I think that was for some farmland and there's some type of foundations in there, aren't there?
I didn't see any foundations, but we looked way back at 1963 or thereabouts, aerial photographs. There's a lot of little outbuildings out there, which look like chicken or, because they're small and kind of scattered out there, either hen houses or some kind of hay barns or something, but nothing with a real the only rock, there's some areas where they dump like oyster shells and.
Yeah, I was gonna say, lots of oyster shells.
Yeah, so somebody was probably
Oyster
feeding pigs from a local tavern or something, I'm guessing, because you see some porcelain and glassware and then oyster shells scattered around here.
Oh.
But there's no, I walked the site quite thoroughly, and I never saw any, and I grew up like playing old foundations and, you know, the reservoir by my house, so I'm pretty tuned in, and I can't help myself from exploring them if they're out there, but I didn't see anything like that out there.
You know, I was just wondering if some of those drainage things in other areas, changing things around might have been involved in some of the past farming areas.
Certainly, there's an old crossing with a 6-inch ductile iron on the other property, the adjacent property, but like here, right here, that's an old farm cart path of some kind. And there was a crossing here also on the other property. Now it's just a very narrow stream, kind of like a little peninsula of fill, and then there's a narrow stream that, you know, passes by it, so there's still a crossing there. But, and there's a lot of oyster and stuff around there, oyster shells still. And even, I'm surprised with the acid rain and New England acid soils that some of them look like they're, you know, came out of the ocean last year, but, those are the two main things that are noticeable. There's some old paths that are pretty heavily overgrown now, and there's an old crossing down from they came across a railroad way down here, that you can still see the nice flat, path that, you know, about 8 feet or this wide or so, but there's pine trees in it that are, so you couldn't drive it today, but at one point, they must have come across from the Rice machine.
Yeah, I'm dating back before I was around, the 1800s there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure this is all, you know, sheep, cows, there's not much tillable land. Actually, over on this side, there's probably this was probably tillable at one time, but the rest of it, I think, would be sheep or something that didn't require a lot of clear soil, a lot of rock eruptions.
Anything else, Roger?
Any evidence of the cedar swamp being up in that area?
Not up here. There is a fairly large wetland here. I didn't see any remnant cedar, you know, saplings or seedlings, but of course down the north end, there's no seedlings on the walkable, no Illinois cedar on the walkable part. You know, you have to get into the river in the floodplain area before the cedars start showing up there. There may have been cedar here way back, but, you know, there were small places like that were cut over for shakes and posts, and the maples came in, and just they never came back in many cases.
Because there's been a major change in the whole profile of the swamp over the years.
Yeah, I'm sure it was ditched and manipulated in various ways. I've never done so much of the work here before, but quite expensive. But I think 200 acres is pretty intact swamp there.
That's all for tonight.
Betsy?
No comment.
Al?
Landis has walked it, any issues.
Okay, so make a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful
and-
rock outcropping out there too. It's just quite a large boulder.
Yeah, pudding stone,
Yeah,
big, loaves bigger than this room in some
Yeah.
places there.
goes right down to the river.
Yeah, especially in the north end,
Ah.
really, the bedrock,
Hmm.
shallow.
Roxbury conglomerate.
Yep, exactly. It's pretty hard for, you know, I guess it's sedimentary, or, I think it's sedimentary rock, but it's hard, you know.
Is it sedimentary?
No,
I guess it's metamorphic, because it's
I
been
thought it's metamorphic.
sedimented and then kind of
Yeah.
somehow cemented
Yeah.
sedimentarily, yeah. But, hard stuff when you try to crack it, I guess, when you're talking to the equipment operators.
Do we have to
Thank you, Landis, for Landis has spent, between the two reviews, quite a bit of time, and also helping us with the schedules, which were very, you know, I worked in 275, 6 or 7 towns in the Commonwealth, so when I know when the services provided around town are good, and I appreciate it.
Good.
Thank you.
Have you any idea when you'll be filing for subdivision?
Yeah, probably soon, I don't know, you know, calendar-wise, they wanted to certainly memorialize this. I don't know if there's any other processes that are pending, but I know Katie's doing design work And I think they've gone through different iterations, you know, it's been kind of a works in progress. But it'll, as soon as I think, you know, they want to keep the ball rolling and they, so I anticipate, you know, in the next weeks. The filing with the housing, or CBA, I think will, you know, be very shortly, this month sometime, but I haven't actually discussed that.
Okay, just
Thanks.
curious. Do we have anything to sign?
Did you close the hearing and voted
We did.
to issue the ORAD?
No, you just closed the hearing.
We just closed the hearing.
Okay.
So we,
So yes.
we gotta
issue
vote on,
the ORAD to approve the wetlands line as per the 12/10/2019 plan.
okay, so wanna move that?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you.
And we'll just include the wetlands line series in the ORAD. That was
We got minutes from December 11th. And we have two executive session minutes also. Okay, so December 11th minutes, somebody want to move those?
I'll move them.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 600. And the executive session minutes?
I'll move those as well.
I'll second them.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600. So that's that. Okay, at our last meeting, what did we wind up doing about 1900 Main Street? Were we gonna issue another fine?
You voted to issue another fine, but I did not issue it yet.
Okay.
So if you still want to issue it, I'll put that together.
Okay, we have, with the notice of intent, what did we do?
With the
We
notice,
dropped that, right?
well,
What do we call it?
I think we dropped that. We let them know that if they wanted to continue with it, they'd have to let us know ahead of time, and we would re-advertise it for a hearing.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they don't do anything with it.
But they're still under the violation notice or what, an order of,
Right, so they still had the enforcement order
Non-compliance.
and the notice of non-compliance to address the stormwater management on the property. That
And
entailed
we're-
filing a notice of intent and plans to address the stormwater management,
Right.
which is what we've been waiting for them to do.
I would suggest that, since they haven't responded, that we issue another fine as we had voted.
Okay.
At the last meeting.
I apologize, I didn't.
Um, And my suggestion would be if they don't, if we don't get something back, we continue to fine them at whatever the next meeting is. Okay? So, we've already voted for that, so we don't have to vote again on that. So that takes care of that one. Boyden Estates, there's really nothing new on that one at the moment. What do we got? Certificate of compliance? Is that okay or not?
No, I haven't had a chance to go out there and look at between the holidays and being sick and everything, I haven't had a chance to go out there and look at the site, so if we can just carry that over to the 22nd.
All right, we can continue that one on. Got board comments,
Right, so
Beethoven.
63 Beethoven, there's no wetlands in the area, it's a relatively small addition, so it's
no
not
jurisdiction, okay, and New Pond Village, is that what we already had done?
Right, so we discussed that last time, and this was just a revised plan in the letter to the planning board, stating that they did move the pavers to the rear of the property near the cottages in the same amount, for the same amount of information, it's just in a different location.
They relocated, okay. Okay. Anything else under the correspondence?
Pretty standard stuff, the National Grid Yearly Operation Plan for Vegetative Management, and the annual bird landfills, or semi-annual, document, which doesn't really say anything new,
Okay.
other than they misspelled the cover. They had to resend it.
Okay, now you included, this
I think that was information that was
was in our,
sent
we
by
had this
Betsy.
before.
Well, I put that in because I thought we were gonna have some discussion tonight, which,
On the buffer zone, but we put it on for the 22nd.
right, so,
So, okay, oh, this is for the, for January 22nd.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So, right, we concluded what Betsy sent, and also I included the memorandum from Copeland and Page for guidelines for drafting local wetlands bylaws and regulations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I sent this, I looked it up from Tewksbury Conservation, and I was not surprised maybe to see numbers like this, including Norwood, which has a 50-foot no build. How does that work
Well,
out for you?
okay,
Okay, yeah.
what it is it's 25 no disturb,
Yeah.
and then the next 25 is no build. So if
Yeah.
you add the two
Yeah.
25s together,
Yeah,
it
you-
makes 50 that you can't put anything.
I'm just
Now-
saying I was
Now, I'll
impressed.
give you a place to look. If you drive on Route 1, you see a big open area across the highway from the Toyota dealership,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, now we've recently had an INRAD on that to find where the wetland line is. Okay, so now if you take where the billboard is and measure in the 50 feet from the wetland towards the highway, and the 50 feet setback from the highway to, for restrictions under zoning, it leaves nothing for anybody to use that piece of land for anything.
So what if they built on it, Al?
Well, they haven't built
Oh, okay,
anything.
just checking.
The only thing that's there is that billboard.
It's here in Walpole, we built something.
And I
on it.
keep having, let's see, I went back to work after the holidays, and since then, I've had 3 inquiries about that land, right? And virtually, there's nothing you can do there.
Anyway, so I compiled this from a really interesting, much bigger list, because this is all kind of our local towns.
Yeah.
And then the second sheet I found also at the Tewksbury site, which I thought was really interesting, and it gives you a little flavor of how the whole number 25 and 50 came up to begin with. I mean, there's something a little bit funny about the table. I think one of the little rows is not adjusted correctly, but generally, removing of pollutants and wildlife habitat value. There
Well,
you go.
that's in the MACC buffer zone book.
Yeah,
All that information of how many feet you need for filtering out pollutants,
yeah.
and how many feet you need for salamanders, and how many feet you need for birds and other creatures for habitats. And depending on what you have in the area, it gets larger and larger and larger until it's pretty much confiscatory of any place where there's a wetland nearby.
Just so that we're all on the same page, the first page is all the values are in feet. And the
Yeah.
second page, it's in meters,
Oh, for heaven's sake,
I
Mark.
think. Isn't
Is
that
that meters?
buffer width looks like an M for meters?
You know, you're right. I did not notice that. I didn't notice that.
So it's
it's
roughly
actually-
3 times, a little more than 3 times those
Yeah,
values.
yeah, so,
Oh, no,
so
but,
the first one is like 15,
15, 16.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes it even more compelling, okay.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I know, definitely was not an arbitrary number. It was
Yeah.
No,
discussed and researched.
but I
and
just
reviewed.
anticipate we might have a discussion, you know,
Well, it's, I think will be
Which is
pertinent
why I was
with
thinking
the
about
Yeah,
latest deal that's going
so
on.
hold on to
So,
these, we'll
yeah.
use them later.
right.
Oh,
But I just, at the time that we wrote the regulations, it wasn't arbitrary.
Doesn't seem arbitrary, in fact, ours are pretty
Yeah.
weak compared to some
At
towns.
that time, it seemed to me that some people I don't see any on here, but were actually, oh, there is one, 100 feet,
Yeah, Sharon,
no build,
yeah, but
But,
50
no
feet, no
disturb.
disturb.
yeah.
Sherburne, 50 feet, no disturb. Plainville, 35.
So that we felt that the 100 foot of no disturb was excessive when we were going over this back, since you recall, we had kind of an unwritten, I guess called a policy that we would use 10 feet, and we found that wasn't working. And that's when we decided, and with the regulations, that we decided that the 25 was more appropriate.
It's interesting how Dedham differentiates between the usage, homes, commercial, and parking.
Yeah,
Each have different
yeah.
no disturb distances.
Yeah.
No. Anybody have anything else?
No, to be continued.
All right, we need executive session, so if someone wants to close the regular hearing.
I'll move to close it.
Are you ready for us to bail out of here? Yeah, okay.
We need to
We'll
vote.
Vote first, okay, so someone will make a motion to go into executive session?
I thought we have to vote to close the hearing?
Yeah, I second closing this
Okay, all
hearing.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're-
We just voted to close the hearing.
So now you go into executive session.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I move that we go into executive session.
Okay, we got a second?
Second.
By roll call. Doug?
Yes.
Adrian? Roger?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al? Aye.